When someone you love is struggling with addiction, your heart wants to fix it. You want to make the pain go away for them and for you. But what if I told you that real healing can begin when you stop trying to fix them and start healing yourself? Here are 10 ways to support an addict without losing yourself. Hi, my name is Michelle Fondin. I'm the author of 12 published books, including Help, I Think My Loved One is an Alcoholic, a survival guide for lovers, family, and friends. If you're new here, I'd like to welcome you. Thank you so much for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications, and thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I teach meditation, which is a wonderful tool for you to start healing yourself, whether you are supporting an alcoholic loved one, an addicted loved one, or whether you're just a human being. It's a great tool to use each day once you learn it. In my last video, which was the Michelle Fondin author vlog, number 18, that I posted earlier this week, if you are viewing this in November of 2025, I spoke about the path of least resistance and your emotional guidance system. So if you have not yet viewed that video, I would highly encourage you to view that video after this one. I will put the link right here, and I will also have the link below so you can check that out after this video because they are very, very interrelated. Just to give you a brief background before we go into those 10 tips, I was in a relationship, a long-term romantic relationship with an alcoholic for 5.5 years. Through that, I learned so many things, and out of that came my book, where I interviewed 10 alcoholics in long-term recovery to get inside their brains to try to understand the behavior a little bit better. And I talk about Al-Anon, that I joined, but also delving deep into the problems of codependency where I sat, even though I was not a drinker. That is how this playlist came about. That is how the book came about. So let's dive into these 10 practical steps for you to help your alcoholic or addict loved one without losing yourself. Here is the first step. Accept what is, not what you wish it were with your situation with your alcoholic loved one. Acceptance is not resignation, by the way. It's not like throwing in the towel and saying, this is just the way it is. This is the way it's going to be for the rest of my life. But it's about relinquishing control. Instead of saying, why doesn't my person stop drinking? Why do they always break promises? Why are they always lying? Why are they hiding the alcohol? Why are they saying they're not drinking, that they're actually sober, but they are actually drinking? When we go into all of these questions in our mind and hold on to them and really try to understand the alcoholic from a rational standpoint, we are just spinning our wheels because the disease of alcoholism is not a rational disease. It's a far cry from that. In fact, the alcoholic or addict, when they start drinking or using, they are literally insane. So you are dealing with someone who is not rational, who is not sane, who is not in their right mind, and you're trying to rationalize or make reasoning a part of it. When you come to the point of acceptance, you just say in the present moment, this is what's happening right now. I can't control it. I'm not really sure what to do with it, but the choice is mine as to how I am going to respond in this moment. And that's really all that acceptance is about. It's about choosing how you are going to respond to something that you cannot control in this given moment. Tip number 2, release the illusion of control over your person's drinking or drugging. In Al-Anon family groups, and it's likely that this is said in AA as well, they talk about the 3 C's. You did not cause the disease of alcoholism, you cannot control the disease, and you cannot cure it. In fact, there is no cure for alcoholism and drug addiction. Absolutely no cure. A cure does not exist. You can only arrest the symptoms, arrest the disease. When we take it upon ourselves to think that we can control it, and believe me, I fell into that trap so many thousands of times over the course of those 5.5 years. I fell into the trap because I thought, if I could just control the conditions around my alcoholic loved one, that he would certainly change, that it's the conditions that are the problem. I will give you an example. When my alcoholic loved one had expressed interest in wanting to get sober, and he had expressed interest in wanting to attend AA, I walked into a grocery store and got really angry because at the front of the grocery store, just as you walked in the door, there was a humongous wine display. Huge! You could not avoid that wine display. And I got irate. I got angry because I was like, how is my alcoholic loved one supposed to get sober when the first thing they see when they walk into a grocery store is a display of wine? Well, that was me trying to control the conditions of his addiction, and it is his. He had to own it. It was not my addiction. It was not my responsibility, and it wasn't the responsibility of that grocery store or any other store or any other person or any other bar or restaurant. It is totally up to the alcoholic person to regain control over this crazy disease. Here's a mantra that you can say to yourself. I am responsible for me and my energy in every situation surrounding this craziness, but I am not in control of their actions, their situations, or the conditions that surround them. Number 3, practice compassionate detachment. Love without rescuing. That is compassionate detachment. I write about this in my book, and in fact, that is one of the reasons that I wrote the book, because I saw my alcoholic loved one's soul beyond the physicalness of their disease, beyond their disease, and beyond the chaos of everything that was going on around me and the chaos that my alcoholic loved one was creating in his life and in the lives all around him. It was like a windstorm. But I saw inside of his soul, I saw that he was a very loving being, that the disease did not define him. The disease was something he was dealing with. Now, this is hard. This is difficult because all you see is what's right in front of you. And we can often make excuses for their behavior because we love them. But it's not about the behavior. It's not about the actions, the inactions, the broken promises and the lies. It's about loving them unconditionally, but with detachment. In this, when you recognize their soul, you recognize that their soul has a spiritual journey. Like you have a spiritual journey. Their soul is guiding them. Their inner being is guiding them. So when you detach with love, you trust in their higher power. You trust in their higher being, their higher essence. You trust in their soul's journey, that you don't need to become their soul. You don't need to be a part of navigating that journey for them, that they can navigate that journey for themselves. And finally, on this point, when you allow their soul's journey to take over without you trying to fix what's going on in their life, they have their own lessons that they have to learn. So instead of what I call getting mired in the muck, we often get mired in the muck, right? Whether it's a pile of their own vomit or urine or the messiness of something that has happened with them, instead of getting mired in the muck, you detach with love and allow them to figure it out. Because even if they are passed out in their own vomit, even if they are passed out and they've peed all over themselves, when they wake up in that condition, that's their soul's nudge that they probably need to do something about it. Tip number 4, focus on your emotional guidance system. And this is what I spoke about in the video, the Michelle Fondin author vlog number 18, which you can view. According to Abraham Hicks, we are all born with an innate and powerful emotional guidance system. You see, when we dip down into those negative feelings, those lower feelings, those feelings of anger, shame, blame, guilt, guilting them, when we're really rooted in those lower vibrational feelings, those emotions that don't serve us, we bow down to their behavior. We bow down to where they're at vibrationally. When the best thing to do for you, and the best thing you can do to actually help your alcoholic loved one or your addict, is to raise your vibration higher. Now, this doesn't mean that you're superior to them. Certainly not. It just means that you choose to be happy with something in your life that does not involve them. That you choose to go out and smell a flower, watch a sunset, hug your kids, play with your cats, do something else that is not going to remind you of the state that they are in. Choosing a better feeling vibration, choosing a better feeling emotion is going to lift you higher so that you don't go down with the sinking ship. Tip number 5, set boundaries that honor both souls. Boundaries are not punishment. They are protection. Boundaries are not walls. They are bridges that are going to bridge what is yours to what is theirs, and there's something there in between. You do not have to own what is theirs because it's not yours. Even if they deflect. So alcoholics are very good at deflection. They're very good at, well, this is your fault if I'm drinking too much. This is your fault if I fell off the wagon. You did this, you didn't show up for me, or you didn't love me enough, or what have you. That is just a simple technique called deflection, because they have a very hard time looking at what is theirs. And often the alcoholic or addict is also a codependent. And so they have poor boundaries all over the place, no boundaries, if you will. And of course, alcohol is the dissolver of boundaries, right? It is the dissolver of boundaries. And so for you as the sane person, hopefully, who's not drinking, hopefully, or drugging, then it's your job to set and maintain those powerful boundaries that are going to keep you safe, your emotions safe, as well as to keep them safe. And when I say keep them safe, it's because if they are insulting you up and down the wazoo and you are allowing them to do that, they are taking on the guilt after that. So you're protecting them in a way from themselves by not allowing them, by putting a stop sign, a halt, Like, you are not allowed to insult me, call me names, make fun of me. I will walk away from this situation. That's a boundary. Or saying, for example, I don't like it when you drink, so I love you. But if you start drinking, I'm going to go over here for now. Like, I'm going to go to my mother's house. I'm going to leave your apartment. I'm going to go to work, whatever the case may be. Finally, boundaries are about your own self-respect. It is impossible for you to be compassionate towards your alcoholic loved one if you do not have the self-respect that brings about compassion. So when you're compassionate and you have that self-respect toward you, then you have the wherewithal to then be compassionate toward the other. Tip number 6, stop playing God or the savior complex. You can't heal someone else's soul curriculum. The divine has a plan for them and their soul and their pathway that you cannot even understand on a basic level. I used to think my alcoholic loved one is so smart and so beautiful and so amazing and so handsome and so wonderful with a wonderful personality that it's a mistake that he has this disease, right? If he doesn't shape up, he's never going to reach his full potential. And that was my mantra pretty much. And I could not have been more wrong, because who am I as a soul? Who am I to say what his soul's agenda is? Who am I to say what his soul contract is? And maybe his soul came in to learn what it was like to be an alcoholic and all the ramifications that came with that. I am not God. I'm not his savior, even though I thought I was for many years. But they have their own divine plan to follow. Now, of course, we all have free will. I have free will. You have free will. We all have free will. And we can choose to follow our soul's path or not. But when you interfere with someone else's free will, because you're trying to be their savior, you're trying to be their God, you are directly interfering with their soul's plan for this lifetime. Finally, when you stop interfering with their soul's journey, you allow grace to enter. Because when I interviewed my 10 alcoholics in long-term recovery, each one of them had a story of grace when they were at rock bottom. And that story of grace only occurred once everyone else let them go. It was when they found themselves by themselves, mired in their muck, that God stepped in to take over. So the sooner you do that, the sooner you release, relinquish, and say, it's not my job to get them sober and clean. It's not my job to make sure they get their rock bottom. It's God's job or their higher power's job. Then that's when grace steps in. Tip number 7, nurture your inner life. When your world revolves around someone else's pain, you lose sight of your inner light. This happened to me. I was so fixated on my alcoholic loved one's life, so fixated. I would wake up in the morning thinking about how to fix him. I would go to sleep at night thinking about how to fix him. I would have plans and agendas and lists and books, and I was completely obsessed with it. But I was mired in his pain. In fact, I cared more about his sobriety than he cared. I cared more about his life than he cared about his life. That is insanity right there. But if you are to reclaim your inner light, do things that illuminate your soul. Take a walk in nature, meditate, go to therapy, do art, visit a beautiful museum that you've never seen before, have a cup of tea with friends, go to Al-Anon family groups, find other people with whom you can share magical moments, draw pictures with your kids. There are so many things that you can do that will illuminate your soul so that you can start to see the light within yourself once again. Because often as codependents, we take on the pain of those around us. And that is not your pain to carry at all. It's not your problem to fix. It is not your pain to carry. So nurture yourself and find your inner light once again. And this naturally follows to tip number 8, seek your tribe. Absolutely, positively seek your tribe, whether it is with Al-Anon family groups or other support groups or group therapy. Healing happens in mirrors. I can't tell you how many times I was able to breathe freely when I was able to talk about what was going on with my alcoholic loved one to others who were experiencing similar things. It was like a breath of fresh air, because a lot of what happens in this disease is that you feel very isolated. You feel like you are the only one who is experiencing the madness, the craziness of the alcohol addiction, codependent combination. The alcoholic likes to do something that we call crazy making, where everything could be calm and they do something to stir it up and everything is chaotic and crazy, which can make you feel like you're going crazy. They deflect, they gaslight. There are so many things that happen in this dynamic that when you speak with other people who have been in that situation, they can totally understand. Now, one thing I want to note, I did do a video on the differences between Al-Anon and AA, and I want to say this to you. It is valuable to be in a group, whether it's group therapy, Al-Anon family groups, or some other support group, super valuable. But if you stay mired in the problem without a solution, it can just be like an echo chamber that never ends. So attend those groups while they're helpful and that they give you the validation that you need to move forward, to know that you're not crazy, to know that what you're experiencing is real, and then find the solutions that are going to help get you out of that situation or find your inner peace or find your inner light, become more empowered as you move forward. Because staying in that environment of only having the mirroring and the echo chambers is not a healthy place to stay in, but it is a great place to start. I would say for the first year, great place to start. I love number 9, redefine what help actually means. I also did a video on this, which was combined with the twin flame journey, which you may or may not be a part of, but I will post that video up here because it really was about what helping is. I love this because oftentimes we want to be a good person. We want to be a loving person, a caring person. We want to take care of others. We want to nurture others, right? Especially if you are a motherly type, whether you're a man or a woman. And the question you need to ask yourself in this is, am I helping out of fear? Like fear of loss of love, fear of not being good enough, fear that they might abandon me. So am I helping out of fear or am I helping out of love? And here's how you know the difference. When you help out of love, whether or not that person appreciates it, whether or not the person gives back to you in any way, you don't really care. Because helping from love is a lot like detachment. Helping from love is just like, all right, I'm gonna help you because I'm here and I care to do it and I want to do it. But I really don't care about the fruits of those actions, right? I just wanna help because I wanna help because I love you. But when you help out of fear, there's usually attachment to that. So you're wanting a result because you're helping. You want the person to get better. You want the person to get sober. You want the person to say thank you, whatever it happens to be. So just ask yourself that question, is what I'm about to do out of love or fear? And if it's fear-based, you know that it's not the right thing to do. Number 10, radiate light and not guilt. Remember, you are not responsible for this disease. Even if you've been in it for 30 years, even if you've been a partner with someone or that was your mother or father, even if you've been married to this person for 50 years, you are not responsible for what goes on. And the alcoholic, in fact, they'll say this in AA, the alcoholic is responsible as a human being. But once they get that first drink inside of them, because of the chemical alterations and the mental alterations that happened, they're not responsible for what happens once that first drink is in, if they are clinically an alcoholic or drug addict. That's really sad, right? Because it really shows that it's a mental disease as well. I mean, it's a multifaceted disease, but mentally, once they start the drinking and they are drinking alcoholically, they are not there anymore. So the person that you love is not there anymore. But you're not responsible for that. You're not responsible for their actions. You're not responsible for what they do when they're under the influence. You're responsible only for yourself. And so when you stop feeling guilty about everything that has transpired, even if it was your actions, right? Even if you were the nasty person, they start drinking, you get nasty, for example. So even if you've done that stuff in the past, you can always step forward in the present moment and into the future and make better choices. Now, when you make choices rooted in light and love, when you make choices rooted in, I love myself, I care for myself, and I'm going to nurture myself, and I'm going to anchor my inner light and make choices from there first. When you start to do that, you release the guilt. And you say, guilt, you have no hold over me anymore. When you stay steady in this vibration of peacefulness versus chaos, which the disease of addiction is 100% chaotic, when you stay in your vibration of peace, you are a lighthouse for those who are around you. You can be calm in the midst of the storm. Now, remember, detachment is not about being unloving, unkind, or uncaring. Detachment, especially detachment with love, is about you honoring who you are and your path and allowing the other person, your alcoholic loved one or your addicted loved one, allowing them to navigate their path with the sovereignty of who they are as a person, as a soul, as what they chose to be in this lifetime. You are honoring them and you are helping them by stepping back a little bit and just honoring your path. The more you heal yourself in this is a reminder to them that healing is possible. I hope this helped you put some things into perspective with these 10 tips to support an addict without losing yourself. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications, and thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for sharing this with others whom you know are dealing with a loved one who is an alcoholic or addict. Thank you so much for your support of my channel. You can purchase one of my 12 published books. You can join my meditation course. Check out my website. There are so many resources on it. Thanks so much, and I will see you in the next video.